Well, good morning and a very warm welcome to our webinar on business grants. This is the first in a series of webinars this year to help businesses. Now, so far, we've distributed over £2 million to businesses in the form of grants. Now, and we know that businesses are facing unprecedented times and we're here to help. We've got a number of officers here this morning and you'll be hearing from some of these over the course of the next hour. And we've also got 3 members of the Cabinet from South Staffordshire Council here this morning. We've got Councillor Edwards, the leader of the council, who'll say a few words at the end, and Councillors Reid and Councillors Leith, who have both been involved in responding to the pandemic as the council. So we've also got a live chat box running, so you can ask any questions. And we hope that we'll be able to answer those questions this morning as we're going along. But if we can't, what we will do is that we'll check those answers out and we'll share them with you later. So I hope that's all clear. The live chat box should be running now, and I can see there's 1 or 2 questions coming in. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand you over to Councillor Reid just to say a few words. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Annette. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm to welcome you to this webinar. I think it's an opportunity for us to work together to ensure we make the most of the opportunities there with the grants and also the recovery. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that we've got to concentrate on the recovery to ensure that we get back to normal. So I'll hand you over now to Chris Lander, who will explain a little bit more of the situation with the grants. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Chris Landon. I'm the Revenues Team Manager here at South Staffordshire. Myself and my team currently administer the business support grants. I'm just going to spend the next few minutes talking through what grants are potentially available to your business. I'm just going to share pin some slides up for you, and just bear with me. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to talk about the business grants. So I'm going to discuss what grants are currently available to you, how you can apply for these grants, and what is the future of the grants going forward. So currently, we're now accepting applications for the business grants. So these grants are for businesses who have been severely impacted by the national restrictions. The grants are pretty much broken down into the following business types. So your business has been legally forced to close and is registered for business rates. If your business is not legally forced to close but is nonetheless severely impacted by the national restrictions and is registered for business rates. And finally, your business is forced to close or is severely impacted by the national restrictions but not registered for business rates. Firstly, so if your business has been legally forced to close and is registered for business rates, you can apply for the grants for the following periods. So the 5th of November to the 2nd of December, which was the second national lockdown. So that's all businesses who basically like non-essential retail, hospitality, who were forced to close for that period. Then after that, we got the 2nd of December to the 30th of December, which was the Tier 3 restrictions. And that was for businesses mostly with hospitality, because non-essential retail at that point were allowed to reopen. And thereafter, the 31st December to the 15th of February, which is the Tier 4 and obviously the third lockdown that we're currently experiencing now. Again, that's non-essential retail and hospitality businesses which were forced to close. The value of the grants varies, so it depends on your rateable value of the property. So there's 3 different thresholds in there. So if you're 0 to 15,000 rateable value, you get a certain value grant, 15 to 51, and then 51 and above. The grant for the period of the third national lockdown also includes closed business lockdown payment. So it's like a one-off extra grant that businesses can receive to help them through the current pandemic. And all applications must be submitted by the 31st of March 2021. The next grant is for businesses who are registered business rates but are not legally forced to close. So this could be your supply chain businesses. The grant covers the period of the third national lockdown, so we're talking the 5th of January to the 15th of February. Grants of up to £4,500 are available, but it also again depends on the rate of value of property, and it's the same threshold, so it's 0 to 15,000, 15 to 51 and 51 and above. It depends how much money you'll actually receive from the grant. We consider businesses to be severely impacted. The income is after government support has been reduced by more than 30%. The funding for this grant is limited, and applications must be submitted no later than tomorrow, close to play tomorrow. So obviously time is of the essence. In terms of the next grant, this is for businesses who are forced to close and severely impacted, but are not registered for business rates. This grant covers the same period as the one before, which is the third national lockdown. And businesses that are based from home are also eligible for the grant, as well as businesses occupying non-domestic property. The grant is a fixed amount, it's £1,500, and just like the previous grant, severely impacted is considered to be a loss of income of more than 30% after any other government support, and the application must be submitted by no later than tomorrow. So how do you apply for the grant? All applications are submitted through a third-party company called Grant Approval, who we are working with, and the link to their website is on that slide. You'll need to register and create an account for your business to enable you to submit an application. When registered, please ensure South Staffordshire is chosen as your local authority and the correct grant to apply for. I can't stress how important that is. We have had businesses apply it to Dudley and Wolverhampton because they've misunderstood which is their local authority. So clearly, if you choose the wrong council, then there's a chance you will miss out on the grant altogether. So please ensure that you choose South Staffordshire. For businesses registered with business rates, you must enter your 7-digit property reference number. This will begin with a 00. It will be located on your business rates bill that you receive from the council. If you cannot locate that number, then within Grant Approval there is a facility to search for your property reference number. When applying, you'll need to provide various business documents such as bank statements, invoices, receipts. We need these to evidence that the business was trading prior to the national restrictions, but also that you've suffered financial loss during this period. Once you've submitted your application, which is relatively straightforward, it only takes several minutes to complete, we'll send you an email to confirm we have received your claim, and any future contact is done through the portal. So we'll send you an email. So if any point in the application is evidence missing or we require further information, we will contact you via email and ask you to provide further information. We aim to process all claims within 7 to 10 working days of receipt of the information required. The likelihood it will be done in less time, more likely to be 3 or 5 days, but we say 7 to 10 because previously we've been sort of very, very busy and inundated with applications. Once you've been approved, we will email you to confirm you have been approved for a grant, and the grant payment is payable to the claimant, the applicant. The payment will be made directly to the nominated bank account, so please ensure that the bank details you provide are those for your business and not a personal account. And once it's approved, it'll take about 5 working days for the payment to reach your bank account. Full details of eligibility and found on our website, or the link provided on the web page. So that's sort of the grants basically, and how to apply. As I stated before, the grant covers the period up to the 15th of February 2021. and I'm sure a common question that a lot of businesses will be asking is what happens after that date. The simple answer is we're not quite sure. As you may know, the Prime Minister is due to make an announcement on the 22nd of February, setting out plans for future restrictions. So whether these grants will be extended or how much we'll pay in the future is very much dependent on what comes out of that announcement and future government guidance. So unfortunately, it's going to take a couple of weeks until we know more information. However, as and when we know the information, we'll endeavour to get the grants available to you as soon as possible, and any further information about these grants will be made available on the council's website, a link there. If you have any questions about the application or just the grants in general, we have got a dedicated email address there which you can email us whenever you want. It's at taxation@sstaffs.gov.uk, and we will endeavour to reply to those emails very quickly. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name's Wayne Dutton. I work in the enterprise team here at South Staffs Council. I'll just share my screen with you now. Okay. Right, I'd just like to talk for a few minutes about the recovery grant scheme. This grant will be open for applications from later today, hopefully from midday today. I'll briefly talk you through the purpose of the grant scheme, the eligibility criteria, what you need to provide with the application, and how to apply. The scheme has been developed following feedback that we've received from employers telling us of the severe impact on their business and how they worked hard to diversify through the pandemic, but also how they're confident that with the additional support that they feel they will be able to bounce back strongly once we begin to come out of the national and local restrictions. And the purpose of the grant is to help businesses that have been affected more severely to protect jobs and to retain staff. So in terms of eligibility for the grant, you will need to have been trading on or before the 5th of November 2020. You will need to be employing 2 or more people, and that's full-time equivalent, so that's around 35 hours per week. So, for example, 4 part-time staff working around 8 or 9 hours a week equates to 2 full-time equivalent employees. And the fund is aimed at businesses that have suffered a loss of income of more than 50% over the past 12 months due to the COVID-19 crisis. And you will also need to show how you've taken steps to diversify the business during the crisis. So, for example, where the business was forced to close, but was able to offer services such as click and collect, or perhaps where a business has created a new product or a new service to help bring income into the business. You will also need to demonstrate how you've utilised all available government support. So, for example, the bounce back loan scheme or other business grants, such as those that Chris has talked about today. In terms of evidence, you will need to provide a number of documents, and those include evidence of employees. So, for example, that will be payroll records that show the number of hours members of staff are working or were working prior to the restrictions. You will need to provide bank statements for the last 3 months and also bank statements for the same period last year. And you may also want to provide other financial information such as profit and loss statements if this better illustrates the loss of income suffered. And you will also need to provide evidence of financial commitment for the next 3 months. So, for example, that could be evidence of rent or invoices for stock or services. And just to note here that the grant itself can not directly fund employee wages. That's under government rules. And for sole traders, we will also need a copy of personal ID, such as driving license or passport. Here we've outlined the 3 tiers of the grants, of the recovery grant, and these are based on the number of full-time equivalent employees, and so that starts from businesses employing 2 people up to 5, and that goes through to the 3rd tier for businesses employing 11 or more people. And there are grant amounts there of £5,000, £7,500 and £10,000. The application process for the recovery grant will be different to the other grants in that there will be an online application form. It is a simple application form, but you won't apply through the grant approval platform that Chris has mentioned today. But you will find a link to the online application form in the same place on the website, and I've included the link here on this slide too. With this grant, there will be a higher level of business engagement with businesses that apply for the grant, so we can better understand your situation, but also so we can offer further guidance and direct you to support programs more specific to your needs. And as such, each application for the grant will be assessed on a case-by-case basis. And as with other discretionary grant schemes, this pot is very limited and it will close once all funds have been allocated. So that's an introduction into the recovery grant, and as I say, that should be live for applications today. So thank you for listening, and I'll hand you over now to Councillor Lees to say a few words and close today's webinar.
Councillor Lees, can you pop your camera on, please, so we can send you live?
Certainly, I'm doing it now. Thank you, Wayne. Am I live now?
2 seconds. There you go.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, Chris, and all for your presentations. And I also would like to thank all of you that's logged in today to hear the Council's reaction to these grants. We appreciate how the lockdown has affected you, so I hope this webinar has helped and also let you know we're here to help. And you've been given some emails and addresses how to contact us. So if you've got any further queries, please do not hesitate to contact the officers who will try and help you through these grants. So thank you again, and thank you again for logging in. And we'll now close the meeting.